purpose of this video is to show the viewer locations on the battlefield that they would not commonly be able to see. Safety issues prevent easy access to these spots by the general public, so we do not encourage any patron to attempt to reach these locations. With that aside, please enjoy. The Chaucer position is shown on the Durnford map of the battle on a small rise at the foot of Hessian Hill, at the junction of an unnamed creek and the Walloomsac River. This position was guarded by fewer than 50 soldiers, who were armed with a mix of rifles and muskets. That combination proved to be fairly effective. In battles fought on the European continent, it was previously discovered that massed riflemen were weak when unsupported. Men armed with a rifle have an advantage in terms of range and accuracy, but are at a disadvantage in terms of rate of fire. Generally lacking a bayonet, the riflemen at Bennington were an exception. They were able to fix a small sword to their rifle, effectively using that as a bayonet. The value of this position is clear. It's very defensible, having a steep slope behind it and a water obstacle in front. These soldiers were able to command an open field and exercise a zone of control extending toward the Walloomsac River. We have an interesting tradition associated with this location. A German soldier was given what was meant to be a coup de grace here, shot through the chest. He survived and later befriended his captors in Bennington. When he identified the militiamen who shot him, his new American friends are supposed to have ejected the prisoner's attacker from the local tavern in anger. Baum's Overlook is one of the most inaccessible locations on the battlefield, thanks in part to a rail cut. We ask that no visitor attempt to climb up here. This is the center of the line of fortifications for the Crown forces that extends over approximately 8/10 of a mile north to south. In the first engagement, this really was the eye of the storm. Much of what we know about this location is derived from a German map of the battle prepared by Lieutenant Bach. This map provides more details than the British or Durnford map, but is less accurate, having been prepared from memory. Initially, both of Baum's 3-pounders were placed here. One was moved up Hessian Hill early on during the battle. The other was repositioned on this overlook as the Patriots collapsed Baum's center position. The Bach map shows all the positions of the cannon simultaneously, representing multiple moments in time in the same physical space. Artillerists were stunned to observe that Patriot militia displayed little fear or caution in the face of the Crown's cannon. This may have been due to a circular march that Stark made, which would not only have made his force appear larger, but also accustomed his men to being targets for the cannon. Baum's tent was also located here. At the foot of the hill there was a mobile smithy. It has been speculated that this was necessary because the cannon were in need of frequent repairs. Our final location is somewhat controversial and very difficult to access even by staff. Vegetation is dense here, so we'll rely on still images captured at a distance. Stafford's Ravine was accidentally used by Patriot militia to carry out a flanking attack on the southwestern corner of the Tory fort. Being unfamiliar with the area, the Berkshire militia entered a ravine for cover and concealment. On emerging, they found themselves staring up at the loyalist defenders of the Tory fort and decided to charge uphill. Stafford's son shares his version of the story. Quote, "He discovered that a small ravine, which they soon entered, would cover his determined little band from the shot of the enemy, and even from their observations, at least for some distance. He pursued its course, but was so far disappointed in his expectations that instead of terminating at a distance from the enemy's line, on emerging from it and looking about to see where he was, he found the fresh embankment of the Tory fort just above him, and the heads of the Tories peeping over with their guns leveled at him." End quote. This ravine does not appear on any maps of the battle. Matching the modern terrain to this account can be challenging. There is a major and a minor ravine, either of which might fit, but both of which stop short of the Loyalist breastworks. We also have to determine the direction of the Patriots' approach. The orthodox position put forth in War over Walloomskoik by Phil Lord is that the Americans advanced toward the river first, then turned, backtracked some distance, ultimately ending up at the corner of the breastworks. This attack, however it unfolded, was a major factor in the collapse of this position for the Crown.